Thanks. And welcome everybody to the June 26th meeting of the WestfordCAT committee. This is being recorded. It's also live. We'll just get started real quickly. We call the meeting to order.
Before I start the land acknowledgement, I just wanted to make sure that everyone is aware that members of this committee are trying to reach out to the indigenous people and just making sure that how we acknowledge the land is also agreed by them. So there will be more work done in this particular aspect. But in the meantime, while we do that, we will continue to practice the land acknowledgement in the beginning of our meeting. So land acknowledgement says we want to acknowledge that we gather in Westford on the traditional lands of the Nipmuc peoples, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the people that stewarded it throughout the generations. And then I'm going to call upon for the open forum.
Please.
Madonna? Did you want to mention about the broadcast from the Westford Department of Health on the older adult dental program? Or... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're right. Call the forum. If anybody has anything for open forum.
So we should legally do a roll call where there's a hybrid meeting so that you can have in the minutes who's at the meeting. We're required, votes have to be taken roll call and attendance has to be taken roll call.
Okay, that sounds fine. I'll do that. Joe Diamond, present. Angeli.
Present.
Wendy.
Present.
Donna. Joanne.
Present.
Dawn Brantley. Patricia.
Present.
Thank you. Andrea. Nancy. Cook.
Yeah.
That's very good. Thank you. Cynthia. Present.
Present.
You, Radhika. Scott is not here. He gave me a call. Catherine Freed. Seema.
Present.
You, Mary Claire. She let me know she won't be here. Heine. Present. Megna.
Present.
Good. I think that's it. That's the team.
I counted 11, right? Is that accurate?
11 present.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Nancy.
So open forum is old business, anything new or?
Open forum to be anything that's on the agenda.
Yeah, just had a dangling case from last month or the month. Did we ever find out what happened with the diversity and exclusion committee name that ended up in the annual?
Scott was doing that research.
Or just follow up and see if we close on it? Typo or was it
Tell me more. What is
nefarious?
And if there are additional copies being handed out, it would be good to have a photocopy of the correction in the book.
Yeah, unless somebody's going through with tape.
Yeah.
Correcting it, but
Yeah.
that can't be in the back.
Yeah.
I'll check in with Scott and see if he's doing anything, and then after that.
Can I ask two things before we move ahead?
Sure.
Because that will help our meeting minutes for the next time. So one is, if Pam can confirm if the meeting transcript is on for the meeting.
Can you say that again?
The meeting transcript is on
okay.
for the meeting because it will help us with the meeting minutes. Pam, can you confirm please if meeting transcript is on?
I'm sorry, I'm not catching. I'm sorry.
Do you remember that we had requested meeting transcripts to be on for the meetings moving forward? Do
They
you think?
should be. Let me just make sure.
Okay, thank you. That's one. And while you are checking that, I just want to confirm, Wendy, will you be doing the meeting minutes?
Yes.
So once Pam provides us the transcript, it will be actually very helpful to just summarize that. Perfect, thank you.
So the opening meeting, the open forum item was related to the typo that was in the annual report. refer to DEI, statement, exclusion. Scott, check at it, we'll follow up.
So I went to the Cameron Senior Center today for a talk on the digital equity. They called it a charrette. So it was a presentation from NEMCOG and MAPC, the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. And basically, I won't bore you with all the details, but it sounds like there is federal funding available if towns in Massachusetts can outline challenges that folks in the community have with accessibility of Wi-Fi or devices that they need. It's been identified that having devices like a router, desktop computer, laptop, and tablet or smartphone are considered needed in our current community, and those who do not have those resources are not able to participate as much in communities. So there is about, for Westford, I believe it's about $55,000 potential that Mike Wells mentioned. So part of what the group was doing today was identifying some deficiencies in Westford, also Dunstable. They did a presentation combo, but we're not actually grouped with Dunstable. They just put us together for the sake of the presentation to make it easier for them to not have to present to each NEMCOG town.
Did Mike, the assessment of the digital sort of visual divide, Westford, is that what they?
The digital,
I refer to it as the digital divide,
oh, okay.
but in digital equity.
Yeah, I do have slides that show number of households. It's all done from a American Communication Survey and some census data. So it's all extrapolated from a small group of respondents from these things. So it seems to me that there's a lot of folks that probably are not properly represented, but the teams feel like it's something to go on and enough to start a conversation on trying to get funding for additional infrastructure
Yeah.
related to this.
There's actually a lot of state, much of it comes from the federal government.
Yep, yep.
And it does involve access to Wi-Fi devices, and even education. Do they need something from us, like a letter of support or?
They didn't mention, so I don't think it will probably sway the money. Right now, they're just trying to make a case for it. Maybe later on down the line, when they're really going for the funding, that would be helpful. So basically the outcomes were that it would be to have more access points in the town might be a solution rather than just the library or coffee shops. There might be some access points. Also digital training and digital literacy training, which might be done in partnership with high schools or nearby colleges. Mike Wells also mentioned that the state's about to rebuild Boston Road. And is there any chance of putting town fiber lines underneath that road? Because this is the time to do it before that road gets built. We need to think ahead, because once these roads get put in, telephone poles, I guess, are very different than, ground lines.
Mhm.
And that was another thing that we're questioning, why Westford has access to if fiber optic cable is buried, then it seems like Westford doesn't have access to it, but if poles are put up, then Westford has access to it, so there's differences, and folks were wondering, like, why is it that cable companies own it if it's under the ground? Why isn't there some kind of reciprocity like there is with poles? So
Interesting.
so I
It is-
guess,
mean, it is a public utility, right? That's what people see now, the internet. And
yeah,
access, so,
yeah.
so what are the next steps?
So basically they're gonna, NEMCOG and MAPC are gonna go back and try to put together a proposal with the recommendations and try to have it, come up to somewhere near that 55K that we might be able to access, so. But I did ask what would happen with the next political, so supposedly this money is allotted safe. And I did ask what if the administration changes in November with the election, they said they can't guarantee anything, so. So it's important to know that this funding is available right now, but depending on how the election goes, that could disappear.
I have a quick question on that. Did you also mention or include that it will include giving out some equipments as well? Or will it be just training based funding and accessibility, but not cover any devices?
So they mentioned some interest in giving out devices, but they said that oftentimes that only brings them half of the way. The other half of the way
The
is
connection.
teaching them how to
How do you
use it, so. So that is possibly gonna be in their presentation, so I'll keep my ears on it to the next steps. I did also check in with Catherine Clear, if you guys would like a couple of updates on what's going on with school committee.
Why don't we hold on that until we get to the updates?
Okay,
If that's
sounds
okay.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do have a question. So, these fiber optics, are they laid under the ground? That's owned by which company, or owned by the town or public?
So according to what they were saying is that once it is underground, it's not considered a right of way. If it is on a pole, the town has a right of way to it, and they are able to use it for,
So there's not much of a
Connectivity.
permission work. I mean, if you apply for the license or the permissions from the owner of this, underground fiber optics, that's going to take a long time, right?
right, town currently doesn't have permission to use the underground conduits. And that would be something that it might be something we'd look into changing as a town. To make that a requirement, but right now it does not.
So it's a great idea to have, and everybody to have access around that, fiber optic underground lines.
Right. They said they need legislation to make that happen, but the carriers are very strong in their lobbying, so. They were talking about documentation maybe to help down the road to help make that happen.
That's for the future.
Yeah.
So it sounds like, to distribute those devices by using, utilize those fundings, 55 grand. So that sounds like a big solution. Yeah, to the communities who lack of this access, right?
Mhm.
Oh, and this funding is like annually or just a one-time funding?
One-time funding,
Right.
and it could go away depending on the election. Because right now it's under the Biden administration. Okay,
Thanks for doing that.
yeah,
Thank you. Any other items for? Very good. Why don't we move to updates, the 7:25 items, to be on time. We have some reports. Follow up, I think, two things that have happened. Most recently, Pride event, the Westford Pride event. So why don't we get started with the agenda set up, and if you don't mind, start us off with the Pride event.
okay. For the Acton Westford Pride event, we had a wonderful weather day. We had approximately, I think, 15 to 18 tables. Everything went quite well and a lot of attendees, think I would guess approximately 200 to 300 attendees, but I'm not sure. But all went well and the select person, one of the select people from Acton came and talked to me. We had a good chat. So it was a very nice event in terms of being able to meet folks from other towns and municipal setup. So we can kind of see how their DEI committee works versus ours. And I was chatting with Joe on a couple of differences where select board in Acton had nothing to do with giving any kind of approvals for doing a Pride event. It was a Pride event. And so when I mentioned to the select board that no one had to come before you to use the town seal and ask for permission to do Pride under the Acton town, they said, no, why would they? So it's a very different conceptual setup than we have.
I think we're gonna find differences as we reach out to more and more towns, spoke to Chelmsford, data on that too. Ashley and I and Joanne were there. And I do want to give a quick share. I was really happy. People who came to our table were happy. They were happy that we were folks who just moved to Westford, so been in Westford, hoping for. Great. Really happy to consider the moment.
Joe, I'm having trouble hearing you again, the same type of echoing, and it's not clear.
Okay,
Broken up, though, there's
Like the
lots of
previous
silence.
time.
I'll speak right into the owl. Anyway, so that was my question. Very pleased. Angela and Joanne, you're welcome to.
I try to project on behalf of Joe
Thank
because I have a tendency to really be loud. Cynthia, what he's saying is that we were representing the DEI committee for Westford during the Acton Westford Pride event, and the event was our representation in that event was very well received. There were people from different generations, just not young generations. There were some older people who came to us and said that they are so glad to see us there. There were people from younger generation as well, so it was well received, and that's all he actually was saying. Joanne, I, and Joe, all three of us had a great time there, just not representing ourselves, but just seeing that event. It was a very successful event. A lot of kids had coloring and ribbons and headbands and flags and candies and whatnot. So it was really a very fun event for the families and the kids. I thoroughly enjoyed that. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we want to thank Wendy again for connecting. We want to thank Wendy again for connecting. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.
And for giving us merch.
Yeah.
I guess we had wristbands, we had stickers at the booth over there.
Don't forget the bubbles. We have
And the bubbles,
yeah,
we had
yeah.
bubbles, and we had candy.
Yeah.
Of course, we had candy, so, yeah, it was a very good feeling, and it was very, positive. The cross-generational aspect and the older people in Westford who had been there a long time, and the newer people who were just coming into town, also really struck me, so it was good for us to be there.
And there were folks from New Hampshire who had just seen this advertised somewhere on the web. So that was also gratifying. Let's see. And it's too early to talk about the next year, but we will do it again. So the next event that we enjoyed very recently is Juneteenth, June 19th. It's a flag raising. Andrea was the MC. Representative Arciero spoke. My colleague Ronan spoke. And flag, maybe you can explain, the flag was already raised before the event started, and that was sort of a technical matter, not one of the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andrea felt more comfortable. Once we raised it the first time, she didn't want to bring it down and do it in front of everybody, so
Yeah.
we just left it up.
Right.
Yeah.
There were probably 50 people there. Some, Andrea mentioned to me that she thought that there were more people there who were not sort of officially representing the police force or another required group, that more, it's like citizens or residents were there in previous other events. And it was great to see all those chairs at the long pole. And then we went to a lecture by Leslie Howard about enslaved people, which was extremely, and Alan Durr was their representative.
Yeah.
So, and Wendy had pulled that together as well. So I don't know if you had some reflection.
Before you go there,
Yeah.
because I just want to add to what Joe said, as far as attendance is concerned, I was really pleasantly surprised on how many people turned out during the event. Even though the event was the first time ever event in the town of Westford, right? So I'm sure that the marketing and all the time that you have spent in publicizing the event was very well done. So thank you for doing that.
And SEMA helped as well in bringing in the high school age with the ghostwriter. She was able to have one of the students write an article. They interviewed me. And I think that also helps with visibility to bring in the younger generation. And we did do a lot of marketing through WestfordCAT and Eventbrite and Hatch and as many channels as we possibly could. So it does pay off.
Seema, I see your
Yeah, I just had a quick question. If you saw any students attend the event, I know it was the first day of vacation and it would be too much to expect, but I was just curious if anybody showed up. If there were any youth at all.
So there were few. I definitely saw some kids who came with their parents.
Okay.
I had my daughter join me, and then there were few other kids who joined their parents.
Yep.
I would have liked to see just kids turning like in groups, but as you just said, Seema, it was hard. Just the vacation was starting that week, and maybe we can have more students next year. But to begin with, this attendance was definitely better than any one of us expected, honestly speaking.
Yeah, no, that is obviously great that so many people turned up. I was just curious because we had that outreach through Ghostwriter, whether that brought in some, I mean, even if a few students turned up, that's still good. It's just, it's a challenging time of year. Even next year, we might face the same exact situation because it's always going to coincide with the beginning of summer break. unless we have lots of snow days and then we are into like, all right. Yeah, that was just a quick question I had. Thank you.
Yeah, but there was a variety of representation as well. So we had people from all diverse backgrounds who attended this event. That was also class. The next, do you want to, we wanted you to add more details, Randy, to it, so speak about Judy.
I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that's pretty comprehensive.
Okay,
It's a good, and look forward to it again next year.
yeah, so do we.
Yeah.
The next topic is multicultural calendar or resource page work group. So there are two aspects of it. As far as the multicultural calendar is concerned, SEMA is already updating it for many more months. So every month or every 2 months, she's going in and updating it for next year as well. So it's kind of being updated for almost 12 months on a rolling calendar basis. And I want to do a shout out for SEMA for doing that. Thank you, SEMA. You are really, what I should say, you are holding the whole work together. So thank you. And
You're very
right,
welcome.
And then the second aspect of it is resource page work group. What does it mean? I just want to give a little bit of brief background on it. There's a resource pages on Lexington's website, Lexington Town website, where there are resources in a lot of different sections on how to be an ally. What do you do if you're transgender? What do you do if you are a gay? Or how to be an ally of Black people? Or how do you include people from different communities? So there are lots and lots of resources. The work group came together a couple of weeks ago, and then we reviewed some resources. We figured that that resource page is just way too large and way too detailed, and we were not sure if just copying that page will bring the value to our town as well. So for now, what we have decided is that we all had taken a section and review the links, books, resources that are posted on their site, and then come together and recommend on what are the resources or links that we should continue including and what we don't need to. There was a question, I think, Wendy, from you or from a member of our working group, when do we meet next? And I would recommend right now, even while we're discussing that we come together next Tuesday and then discuss on the topics that the sections that we had already decided to talk about, and again, talk about the next steps on that. So if Tuesday works for everybody, that's great. If it doesn't work for you, then send me a quick email on the alternate day or time. I think Thursday is July 4th, so it might be difficult for everyone to come together next week. And if everybody's around, great. If not, then we will meet the week after. But by that time, we should be solidly prepared and we should have reviewed all the resources and the links that we had already discussed.
Just an access question about the calendar. So I just did a search, multicultural calendar Westford.
Yeah.
I'm not coming up with anything. I come up with DEI, school calendar, whatever. Can we?
Yeah.
Should it come up? Yeah. Just
It should. Google search. Seema, can you provide some details?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if the multicultural calendar search brings it up, but the town, if you say Westford DEI committee, I think it comes up.
What is possible, Joanne, is that over here Wi-Fi is a little patchy, so maybe you will not.
Well, no, I saw Westford DEI committee, but that brings us to the DEI committee.
The
So
second search, the second item on Google search is our Google site. The first one is Town of Westford, but the very next one on Google, I'm doing it on Google. I'm not sure what search it is. So the second one is our Google site.
That's very interesting. So when I did Westford multicultural calendar, I didn't get it. I did
No, so yeah, I think that's something, that's because the name of the site is not Westford Multicultural Calendar.
Right. Got it.
It's actually Westford DEI committee. So we could look into changing. I can play around with that. I don't know. Maybe it will help with searching. But as of now, if you do Westford DEI committee, you don't even have to type the entire diversity. The second search on Google is the Google site.
Got it. Thank you.
I just pulled it up as well, Seema, at the
Yeah,
same
yeah.
time.
I'll see if I can switch that. Let me see.
I mean, if we're doing the work and you're doing the work, it would be great to keep publicizing, even if you can't switch it, letting people know how to get there. Like where else?
Right,
could-
yeah.
Where else? could we
So,
put out
so
there?
even if they got to our town page, we have a link on it. So, my thought was even if somebody reached the town website, which says diversity, equity, inclusion, there is a link on it to our multicultural calendar. So they'll be able to get from there.
Before we move ahead, just a question came up in my mind just now about the June 19th event and also linked with our Facebook page, DEI Facebook page. Wendy, did you take some pictures on your phone of the event when either Andrea was
Yes.
speaking or? So will you be able to share those pictures
Sure.
with myself and Seema so that we can try to post that on the Facebook page of the EI committee?
Sure, and I know WestfordCAT has.
Yeah, I
a few
bet.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the police department tagged us and posted, so that's showing up on our page anyways, but I'm happy to post more pictures. So Westford PD made a post, I think, the very next day.
Yeah.
That they tagged us. So because of that, our page shows their post.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all set. Over to you, permission.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for working on that. The vision mission group met, a little more than a month ago. We've set up another meeting July 10th, together. Draft. At least a vision and mission draft shared with this group in July. And we're hoping that process would be that we would have agreement, this group to the select board. Yeah. At this point, Joanne was facilitating. We started.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Joe, but we really cannot quite figure out what you're saying. It's very choppy. So maybe I don't know if your laptop is muted or not muted.
Yeah, I don't think it's my laptop. I'm just speaking more conversationally.
Oh, no, it's not that you're soft. It's like it's choppy. Your words are coming in and out. So it's like, when you have a bad connection.
Okay, is it better now?
A
Or-
little bit.
Or better now?
Can you hear me now?
Number one or number two? Anyway, so, we did have a good discussion. We didn't commit anything to paper last time we met, but we will this next time. Joanne, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, no, it was a start. I mean, we spent a good amount of time warming up, right? And talking Madonna and Pat around a lot of the history of Westford and the history of diversity in the town, kind of arc. And so I think one of our approaches that got our juices going was not just what we saw as a mission for this committee, but the mission for the community. What we'd like the community to be in XD years, given where it's been over the last 50 years. So that got us going. We've got some things on paper and we're kind of in the messy middle right now. It's really nothing at all to share. Yeah.
When do you guys come together to meet and discuss this topic again?
July 10th.
July 10th.
And that'll be at the meeting room or the training room at the police department station.
Quick question. So how many members you have right
On the little working group?
Vision.
I think we started with 7, then we dropped to 6. We were all there except Cynthia couldn't make it.
Yeah, I could join.
Would you like to join us?
So this is one for the vision for the next year, for the classes, for the future, right? For the DI,
Not just the year, it's what's really the vision for the committee.
which is not coming.
Right. a vision and a mission, because we have a charter, we have a charge, but it's not really a mission. So, you know, we looked at what a mission was, we talked about what a mission is, and what's our mission. The reason for being our charter is why we were created, but what's our bigger mission of being, and what's a bold enough vision that will really sustain our work beyond even us in this room. Because we'll all turn over, it's something that will sustain us.
So if you don't mind, joining on
Yeah.
on the July 10th, right?
July 10th, yeah.
Thank you.
Can you send, maybe resend the invitation?
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Thank you. You know, the charge is clear and it's incredibly helpful. But after 3 years now, I think we also sort of come together with some ideas about what we're looking forward to in the future, right? So
Yep.
it seems like it's a good time. Thank you, Joanne. Well, why don't we have, I suppose, Wendy, an abbreviated DEI committee
Sure.
report, and certainly don't feel like you need to cover it all.
Yep.
Thank you for reaching out to.
So, Catherine wasn't able to make it tonight. So the school is doing an equity audit. And that will be focus groups and surveys. The school signed a contract around Easter time, so they spent a couple of months identifying questions. And now they are in the process of doing those focus groups and surveys. It will be a 2-year process, and most of the surveying will go out to parents. And once they are able to complete, work on, get that information, then they'll be making recommendations from there. I did ask what would be happening with the school DEI with Magali no longer being the diversity, equity, and inclusion curriculum. I guess according to Catherine, it's going to be split between people, but Chris Chu says the buck stops with him. That's his phrasing when he says he feels that it's his responsibility to make sure there is diversity, equity, and inclusion going on within the schools. So it is not an ideal answer, but it's kind of what we have at this point. So we may just want to keep circling back with them to make sure that we are keeping apprised on how that is going. School start times doesn't really affect us too much, but they are working on recommendations and are thinking about making a recommendation before October or November when budgeting gets figured out. Restorative circles is something that they've been working on in the middle school. It's kind of sitting in a circle and someone holds an item and they get to be the person who speaks about a topic, right, talking stick. And I guess it has worked out really well in middle schools, and teachers reported that students who usually don't speak up are speaking up. So this is something, they're middle school students, some of them are very, very quiet. So the fact that it's getting some of them to participate when they would usually just kind of sit back and let the other ones that are more exuberant take the lead. When you have the talking stick, you're in charge, and the kids seem to feel powerful with that. So that is great that they are working on that they plan to try to embed that in practice into the schools, and that they want to bring it over to the high schools as well. Westford Public Schools master plan is more of a buildings plan, just what buildings they'll be using over the next 10 years. So that doesn't hit us very, very much, but I thought the other items were interesting.
So we do look forward to hearing about the equity audit,
Mhm.
and how we participate or how it's going. And then you did send me a note related to survey that the school system did on DEI. Am I right about that? Reading that correctly? 800 families, so you already talked.
That was an older survey and Catherine didn't have the ability to she was in traffic, so weren't able to get to that one.
That's fine.
Okay.
And then the other thing is, I think there was a time when we contributed some text related to a definition of equity. Does that ring a bell with that? I think we did that at one point. And I just haven't heard back about what that's adopted. But
No, we did give it some to them and they did talk about it. I don't know what truly came of it.
we'll follow up.
I believe the definitions. The school website somewhere.
Oh,
I thought I remembered seeing the equity inclusion definitions. That might be something we
we could look
Look
at
into.
working.
Yeah, I think that they worked on it. And they came up with something.
Yeah.
And they use it in their documents. But, I don't know whether it was as inclusive. as maybe it is.
The one that they had already worked upon like 2 years ago or something like that, right? Yeah.
So the survey you mentioned is, the survey going to happen now is, who is, who is about to organize this survey? Is DEI, school DEI or school? I mean, who is going to do this survey?
The equity audit, you mean?
Yeah.
They hired an outside.
Yeah,
vendor.
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know who it is?
They did say the name of it, and one of the members used to be. One of the consultants used to be a member of this DEI committee, and I forget the name of the person.
One of the consultants used to be the member of the DEI committee.
What?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
We might have some insight. So the results will be available for the public, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's your process, really.
It's okay. You don't have to know on top of your head, but then if you have the information somewhere, then do let me know.
Catherine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Eveling.
EB Ling, yeah.
Oh, you
Who went by,
Maybe.
goes by another name
I think she
now?
went by Annie.
Annie, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
we did a family survey 2 years ago to get EP. So.
So she is with the consultant group.
What's her name, first name?
Eveling,
YIBING.
Yeah, I remember.
All right, next.
Thank you. The next topic is the podcast. We have several. And if you will, last one that we did was conversation with Wendy at. Yeah, that's right, on 18. And I'll probably, that was done. We try to do it once a month, if we can. I'm doing this a month. We've got a few different topics to think about. And we're open to suggestions. To get July. It's a class at the studio. Who's been on that? Let's see.
Mary Claire was there once.
Joe, we can't hear you again.
Sorry, it was just, we were talking about themselves for a second. My apologies.
How about this one?
We are talking about the podcast for the next few months.
Better.
And we were talking about Madonna, right? Having Madonna.
Yeah,
Madonna, do you feel comfortable having in the next month or next 2 months?
Go ahead, Sam. What do you want me to talk about? What do you want me to talk about?
Well, let's talk about topics.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm screaming, but I guess I need to.
You're not screaming. Now you're talking in a normal rate.
I know. Anyway, so, we've got a few topics to talk about. One thing, that we thought would be interesting would be to bring, some folks from DEI committees from other towns together to talk with them, maybe Acton, Chelmsford, to just share information in the context of the podcast. We had a really good conversation with Chelmsford, it was actually the DEI committee chairperson. The community services director. And we learned a lot about the way that things work there, the way things work here, which I think everybody would benefit from. It's different. There's some things that come easier to us. So that was one thought. In fact, related to that, we thought that it might make sense. They invited us to visit with them in person or remotely at one of their upcoming meetings. We do this as Chelmsford. I know that you had a good conversation, Wendy, with both folks connected, and what's Michelle on the list is?
Recreation director. Yep.
And of course, somebody with like work support. And so that's one topic. We could organize that. And then what are some of the other topics that you all I want to begin to over time? September is Hispanic Heritage Month. What do you think of everybody has about that?
August is Women's Equality Month. Yes, that's right. I was looking at our own calendar.
Yeah,
Check out
good
things,
idea.
yeah.
I would really like to, when we're talking about August being the Women's Equality Month, and it just strikes me, so the organization right here in Westford with Women's Voter League, they did start with the equal rights for women as far as the voting is concerned. If we can have a guest from them and then talk about their mission, what it has been, what they've accomplished, what their challenges has been over the past few years, right? And maybe the inception of that particular committee or organization, and then talk through that. I think there are some individuals who has a lot of experience, the tenure and the commitment in those in that particular direction. So I think that
Ellen Hardy began
Right.
Westford League of Women
Yeah.
Voters, and then now there are four groups.
Yeah, the full group. I know Diane is one of the full members,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So we can probably have one
They're
of
off for
either
the summer. I mean, officially off for the summer and it's around, but,
But we are not actually asking to attend their meeting. What we are
Just,
yeah,
just so you
Go ahead.
know,
Yeah.
they had made me, their representative to the DEI.
Oh.
So you.
Representative here.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's.
hey, there's another topic for Madonna.
Yeah.
There you go. Madonna comes queen.
Then, Madonna, you have a topic to talk about.
So maybe August, Madonna, gives you 2 months to prepare.
I don't have any big thing going on in August.
Okay, all right.
So big
So pending you down.
trips.
I didn't know that they made you their rep to sort of unofficially to this committee.
I did tell you at one point, but I don't think it just
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
wasn't that meaningful at the time.
Well, it's meaningful now. That's great. Thank you. Thank you. So I think that's a good one. Let's think about Acton and Chelmsford. Indigenous Peoples' Day is coming up, so we can look into that in September, prior to October. And Hispanic Heritage. That's September. We need to do a little research, but
Or
Talk about-
Hispanic.
Nancy, do you have contacts in the native populations that could help with planning an Indigenous Peoples' Day?
Yes, I would be glad to give you Sue's contact, and she has the tribe that comes to our events. So yes, I will send that to you right now.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Before that, I think the question was, can we have this topic of Hispanic Heritage Month covered under a podcast, and who we could think about, right? So Hispanic Heritage Month, is that October? And October, September? September? If that is September, we could still have,
September.
so we could have a similar topic covered in July, because we don't have anything planned for July.
Unless we reach out to folks at Chelmsford.
So
But we could
uh,
do-
Hispanic Heritage Month actually is 15th September to 15th October, so you have the freedom to do it either or. But if you're going to do Indigenous Peoples' Day in October, I guess September is the better time to do Hispanic Heritage. It's not a single month. It spans over 2 months, like basically half of 1 month and half of the other.
We could preview it.
Yeah, we were actually, Joe was saying that let's have the Indigenous Peoples' Day in September, just ahead of October, because we
Oh.
always podcast around the end of the month.
I
So
see.
it
Okay.
makes sense, right? And then we could still have it at the end of October. We could have the Hispanic Heritage Month covered there. And then July, probably we could have a representation from Acton or town of Chelmsford. So just making
Yeah,
some
I mean,
notes.
that should be fine. It doesn't have to match exactly per
Yeah.
date. It's like, Hispanic Heritage is September 15th to October 15th. So if you do it at end of October, that's totally fine.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Seema.
Gives us time to look into who.
Yeah.
Great. Anything else on that?
I just want to add that if any topic comes to you later, even after this meeting, feel free to just send a quick email to Joe or myself so that we can review those and maybe include those for the future podcast.
Great, thank you. So we wanted to go over the next agenda item. We wanted to go over just a note about the roster. There are some members we haven't seen for a while. We're in the process of reaching out. I think we said sort of, I don't know if there's a standard in town, but some folks have 3 meetings or more. So that itself is a good time to reach out from, maybe reach out to somebody today.
I did. Yeah. I had reached out to a member in the past. So when I had reached out, they attended one meeting and then they went back again. So without calling the name, I have a quick question. Maybe Nancy can help, or anybody who is more experienced in the other committees on the process itself. Let's say a member does not communicate with us and has also missed 3 monthly meetings or 4 monthly meetings. As a part of the process, how do we go about, let's say, even if we have contact, I'm just putting it hypothetically right now. Let's say we have tried to connect with them, they do not respond back to us, or they say that they are too busy and don't see them. If they say they are too busy, they don't see themselves as active, then I understand we can go to select board and then ask for a proposal to just allow us to recruit somebody else. I could see that happening. But let's say if someone does not respond to us, then what do we do about that?
Then typically, when it's been done, the letter would say if you miss 3 consecutive meetings and don't indicate that there's a problem, that you will be removed from the committee. And then you ask the selectman or the town manager to do that. But first you have to send them a letter and ask them or communicate with them. It's better in writing because then you have it. So
Are emails considered as letters or?
now you should send them a letter.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Nancy, for clarification.
But that doesn't preclude us reaching out via email just to check in as well.
Absolutely not. You can absolutely send them the same thing in an email, but put it in the mail also.
Thank you. So we just want to assure you that we're on the case. So, So we're at the 8 o'clock item, and it's just about 8 o'clock. Anything else related to the other one? We want to new business. We did touch base a little bit on the Indian Peoples' Day, and Nancy gave us, will give us the to. But what we thought was that in the spirit of the Pride celebration and spirit of the team, that we would something similar for Indigenous Peoples' Day. And while we don't necessarily plug the details now, we thought we would seek volunteers for work with Planet. And happy to be part of that.
I could be happy that as well.
I would like to be part of that as well.
Me too.
Seema,
See.
thank you.
I would as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we thinking it would be a celebration? It would be, could be anything. No. We have any form or function or thoughts about it might be yet.
Just early thoughts would be like maybe drumming circle or some other ways for the Indigenous people. And when Nancy Cook has had the International Block Party.
Yeah,
That has been a way that they have expressed a lot of their culture, and through telling of stories and having items for display. So I'm just, those are just early
Yeah.
thoughts.
yes.
I think it's an interesting thought, you know, it could be modeled after Juneteenth, where there was some ceremony, some speakers.
Yeah.
And then we could conceivably move to museum, where there could be display. Know that it's not just the people, for example, there are other tribes in this area. So that's, that just, that, I thought it went really well. It's something.
Yeah, I kind of agree with this idea. I mean, so if we, some events large, some events small. So we, like they're using the large events as a channel to have these celebrations together. So like we have a Lunar New Year, so like so 700 people, we put the lights. I mean, besides the Lunar New Year for Asian cultural celebrations, but it doesn't mean it has to be limited because our purpose is to get all the community together, right? So this big platform that we put in lights, right? So that's something I will put in 2 years. All the other big events we can try and get people.
The only challenge, I think I see as far as the Lunar New Year is concerned, that it comes during the winter time. And even though when we are thinking about these events, having them open in the maybe Westford Commons, where it gets the visibility even from the people who are just passing by on a certain day. During the winter time, it's so difficult when snow is out there on the ground to actually have something in the open.
Yeah.
And outdoors, because that will be challenging. But I hear you when you say that you want to include more people in community celebrations, and it's just not for Asia, they're completely.
Actually, what you mentioned is already on the table to discuss. So we could change the Lunar New Year celebrations to like the Asian Cultural Festival in the warm days.
Yeah, okay, that sounds great.
Probably not next year, but it's already in discussion. So,
Okay, that's
yes,
wonderful.
Yes.
Emma has a hand up.
Thank you.
Seema?
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to, I mean, I liked all the ideas that Wendy just came up with for the event. I was just wondering, since she's going to be in touch with the group that Nancy's sending you the contact information for, so maybe we want to also kind of ask what, you know, what kind of events, you know, they appreciate, or, you know, the Indigenous people like to see towns do. If we can, you know, hope to have some participation from them for like a story time or whatever. I'm just throwing ideas. I haven't thought this through. I'm just saying that because you'll be in communication with them, maybe we can pick their brain a little bit about any ideas, any suggestions they might have for either other events that have happened in other towns or just in general what they like to see in such events. So
Yeah, I
we
think-
we can show sensitivity to their what they want to see.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Of course.
Thank you, Seema. That's a great idea.
I think that's one of the topics for your podcast.
Yeah, so, I think so, yeah, in late September. Yeah. All right, anything else on that for the moment? Thank you, I think we're off to a good start. I'll pull something together. Start. All right, so the next item is collaborating with the other. Continue that process. First thing thought about after what we've just done. Podcast, but I think it makes sense for us to think about continuing the connection. Thinking about joint events, meetings, and even reaching out to other people. I'm not really assuming that some, not most, near us at DEI some sort of initiative. What are your thoughts on this? First of all, does it make sense to get a perspective? I've learned a lot just from that.
So one idea would be that we identify a small number of targets, towns that we think that we're similar to or aspire to be more like if they have more DEI stuff going on. And that we do kind of fact finding, and we do it in kind of a systematic way. How long have they been around? Who chartered them? What's their structure? What's their oversight? Do they have a budget? Right?
Budget.
What's their composition? What's their mission? What's their charter? And then go into, what have they done? Is it events? Is it websites? That we kind of develop a protocol like that so that any of us, right? You and I can go out, Anjali and Wendy can go out, right? Anybody can go out with one of the co-chairs as kind of a constant and do kind of this assessment and then see what's what, see what the opportunities are.
Yeah,
Because I think otherwise we're just going to jump and say, oh, Chelmsford is doing that and that's interesting. Or Acton's doing that and we should align with that. That was a good one to jump on. Right. So, I mean, I think bringing that back to this committee in a more, kind of structured way. I think would be good.
yeah, and we could report almost as frequently as possible on what we find. It's based on our stuff. So.
No, just to add to what Joanne you just proposed, I really like your idea. And then immediately I thought about how about, again, I'm going to talk about let's create a working group because that's most of the time it has been successful. So let's say if 3 or 4 people are interested to reach out to other communities and then bring back the information, maybe we could potentially form a working group where we all go out. First of all, create a kind of a protocol, right? All the questions that we're going to ask, who are we going to reach out to, when, the timeline, understand the budget. So we have a standard process of what we really want to find out when we reach out to them, and then come back and share information with this working group that we kind of form. And then this working group will come to the entire committee and say, hey, we have really found so-and-so practices so far, or kind of present it back. And then we can decide on what are the things that we like the most as a committee and we would like to adopt, and something that we may not really find it's going to be useful for us.
Seema has a hand up.
Yes.
I don't know if that's from before.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Seema.
Joanne said just brought something to my mind about our budget. So I just had a question about the money that we received and how we can spend that. This was a question I'd asked over the email, whether we need approvals for spending, or is it just us who votes to spend that money? And if that money, if any of it was used for this Juneteenth event.
That's a really good question. I've actually begun a correspondence with Kristen last about this and with Pam McNiff. as well as Andrea.
Hmm.
And it's not perfectly clear yet, how we access it. We were given a gift of $2,500, is that ring a bell?
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, from Lowell 5 Bank.
Oh, five, thank you. And but that was in this week, but that doesn't mean the money reverts to town. I think it's always for us. Pam McNiff, Chris is out of town, or Kristen was at a conference, so she wasn't available to answer the question. Pam said that she would research it. And Andrea said that, well, we should have access to that.
So I have a couple of invoices from Juneteenth, and she has asked me to submit those to select board for reimbursement.
She did, yeah.
Andrea?
Andrea asked,
Andrea
during the
asked me to do
Juneteenth
that.
event, we had asked her that question and Andrea said, please do submit that. Did she suggest that you have to download a form, fill that up and then couple it with the receipt, something like that?
Possibly.
Yeah, I think she
possibly.
did say that there is a form that you need to fill. And then select board will review it and most of the time they will approve it, they will not object to it. So.
Yeah,
I was-
the town, Westford Town Finance will have that form. You can get it from Jesse Byers. He's the guy we usually work with, and he should be able to help you with that. So what I'm hearing, if I understood this correctly, is that whenever we need to spend this money, we have to go through the select board, correct?
No, so what she said is that you guys can spend the money and then you download the form, submit that with the receipts, and then we will approve it to get reimbursed. That's exactly what she said the other day.
Yes, but so my question to that would be, how do we make how do we spend the money if we don't know if an approval is forthcoming?
That's a good question. I don't know.
So shouldn't we be
On.
shouldn't we be seeking the approval before spending?
I have a question. Where is the money coming from?
It was a donation we received at the beginning when the committee was first formed from Lowell 5 Bank. They wanted to do a community outreach where they wanted to support DEI initiatives in the town. So
what
they had
bank is it?
donated it to us.
What bank is it?
Lowell 5.
The Lowell 5?
Mm-hmm. So this happened, I believe, in 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
soon
think.
How much money did they give?
I think it was like fall of 2020, almost immediately after we were formed. Very soon after that, we received this money. All right, so I guess we have to iron out some details on how the money is to be sent. And my suggestion would be that we should have a process in place by now. So, as soon as possible, maybe talk to Andrea and figure out what is the process so that going forward, if we have a desire to spend money on something, we don't have to, keep going back each time and asking. So once we have a system in place, we can just spend the money then.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll reach out to Andrea again and get the specifics of the process.
I think reach out to Pam.
I'm happy to do that.
I do believe that Andrea is probably the right person to ask, because Pam, I think will probably get involved more in the procedural part of it, but it's really Andrea who will probably be able to answer whether we have the authority to simply vote and spend money, or each time we have to spend, do we need the select board to say, yeah, you can spend it.
And we just, right, because that resource is meant for us, do we just submit vouchers to draw on that resource, or do we need approval? Yeah.
Correct, exactly. Is it just that we vote and then our vote is final and we spend it and we just simply say, get a signature from select board saying, okay, fine, just pay them the money.
And Andrea could, simply confirm that, or she, with her select board, or she could just say, yes, that's the way to go.
Right. Yeah, that'll be great. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think that's important to raise. I want to raise it. So thank you. I had an idea about reaching out to other communities and working with the structure that Joanne mentioned. I not because she's not here, but I think that Dawn would be a good person to help us get started with that. And I'm happy to reach out to her. Recommend that you volunteer. So, I just think it should be great, and then we can see, and we can, talk about it at the next meeting. But I don't know.
So, I mean, in the process of reaching out to the surrounding towns, so could we send you emails for questions who are interested? And then you,
If emails related to,
I mean, could we email, send you the questions who are interested to ask?
why don't we could do, but maybe if Dawn is interested, maybe she could develop an initial structure based on Joanne's suggestion. Share it with us, give you lots of feedback. I think it's good to do so, but what was on your mind?
Oh, I'm kind of interested for all kinds of events, because events bring the people out, right? Get all the family and kids out. So I only have one question for all the surrounding towns. DEI, just what's your most successful events? And what's your experience? How do you organize them? So, yeah, that's my only question.
It's the most successful event and what made it.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts? We move on.
One question.
One question to that.
But if anything else comes up in your mind, then definitely feel free to reach out, Hank.
Nancy, I don't know if I'm overstepping, but are you doing an international block party in the fall? Oh, you're muted.
I'm not sure, Wendy. We have a meeting this week and I'll know for sure. It was a lot of work and it cost us money last year. So I'm not sure. I'll let you know before the end of the week. Okay, thank you. I did connect you with Sue.
Yeah. Would this committee be interested in continuing the block party?
I mean, if you ask me, I would love to see that happening. The only probably concerns are the cost and the budget, right? As Nancy's talking about, that it costs us money. But we don't have to take a huge space somewhere where we have to pay money. Maybe we could do that right here in Westford Commons, just like we have been doing strawberry festivals and apple blossom parades and things like that. And then there are farmers market. I feel that this location is mostly seen by most people that pass through the Westford Town Center. So, and again, from the cost standpoint, probably we don't have to spend money either. If, again, during the fall, I think the question comes down to the weather conditions, right? Sometimes it can rain out, sometimes it can be sunny. So maybe we need to think about if we decide to do it here, and if the weather gets bad, will we have an alternate location to move it into, and what would that look like, or what would that cost?
Would it be okay if I reach out to Rodenbush, the folks who are running the farmers market, and see if they want to do an international themed week?
Yeah,
And
I
then that would kind of could potentially bring in additional vendors, but we wouldn't have to do as much work for it.
I think that's a-
We did, Angeli, talk about having it on the common, and we did talk about it with the police chief who was at it last year. And he was in support of that, but that in it also would cost because we would have to have details, and that's expensive. I mean, you're easily gonna spend $1,000, $1,200 on police officers for the 4 hours.
And do you think that we will be able to recover that cost from probably the vendors and the tables, or no?
Not so far, not so far. The only, I can't even tell you, we got a couple of small donations. We gave back table money last year because it was so terrible. And the year before, I mean, it was great. We had a good attendance when we were at the Franco, don't you think, Heining? We had a very good attendance, but we didn't earn money. We weren't actually looking to make it a moneymaker. We were looking to bring the community together. So if it wasn't huge, I mean, every dime Westford Remembers makes is, you see me begging on Facebook. So we were just hoping to, meld people together a little bit better. We weren't looking to make it a moneymaker, but we weren't looking for it to cost us $2,000 or $2,500. The 4-H grounds is $750, and that was a break they gave me for that. So right off the bat, we had that expense.
Yeah, I'm thinking that we could join the forces if we decided to move ahead, right? Maybe we can utilize Roland Bush people, we can maybe utilize Andy to market the event, maybe DEI team would probably market that as well, either through Facebook, our pages, people that we know of, maybe our WhatsApp groups, reaching out to all the people to drive those people to the International Block Party. If the team that you work with decides to have an International Block Party.
The Franco also did it for free the first year. They donated the hall to us. I mean, they're good neighbors. So,
Right.
There are a couple of options, but, and I'm sure that if we decided not to do it on our own, we would be glad to tag team with DEI.
When was it last year? I forgot.
The week of September 21st, I think.
I remember that they're kind of chilly.
Yeah, it was cold, if you remember, right? I was in an Indian attack and I was freezing.
That's with the dance and.
Yeah, I totally, I mean, I understand that, and the big events to keep balance, to keep the budget balance is
Yeah.
not easy, too much work. So much work. So that's my second question. We're talking to the members DEI, so it's for their successful event, how do they keep the budget balanced? So that's the key. I mean, if you want the long run, I mean, to successfully in the long run, so that's the most important thing.
I know there are grants available. Were you able to tap?
First year,
into any
first time
grants?
we did it, second year we did,
Yeah,
make life a little bit easier.
yeah,
So, but the key is to motivate people to join. The more people comes, the easier to keep the budget balanced. But we're not money maker, so the all the money is back to the high school students club. So as long as we're making sure our school students club not losing the money versus.
I'm just
successful.
thinking from the budget standpoint, Hanning, as you're talking about, there are many organizations, like I'm talking about companies that are based in Westford. If we
Yep.
start pulling out the list and reaching, I don't know if they have their social responsibility goals. And if
They
we
do.
can, right, so most of the organizations do, most of the organizations have their own plans on how they really spend their money for their goals. But maybe that could be one of the ways of covering certain cost and asking for some sponsorship
Yep.
and donation.
There are many channels. It's a
Yeah.
combination of all
Yeah.
the channels.
Yeah.
for example, at the digital equity meeting today, Net Scout, there was a
Okay.
Net Scout person there because they're interested in Westford having connectivity and being part of the community.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sounds
many
good.
channels, but still scary.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I know.
no, I absolutely agree, okay.
Yes.
Since we're talking about grants, I'm sorry, I had my hand up. I don't think anyone saw it. So because we're talking about grants, I just want to put it out there that the Westford Cultural Council gives out grants every year. I'm a member on that committee, so their application process usually opens somewhere between September to October. And so if this is an event that we want to do, or if Westford Remembers wants to partner with us and do however we decide to do it, we should keep the deadline in mind. It's usually mid-ish October is when their deadline is for putting in applications. And I feel like events of this nature would be just the right kind of thing that we look at when giving out grants. We don't give very large grants, but every year we receive anything between $10,000 to $11,000 from the state to give out for different kinds of cultural, art-related and other events. I can send more information out to the committee, but this is something to keep in mind if you are interested in getting some money.
Seaman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
You review them mid-October. The problem we had when we were applying for it is it was after the grant and you don't like to pay for something that's already happened, right?
No, that's not necessary. As long as you put your application in and it's been approved. Oh, you mean the event has already taken place?
Right.
Oh, I believe I want to say that yes, you might be right about that. I'll have to double check that. I know that a couple of times during the pandemic, we made exceptions, but I don't
Right.
think those exceptions are in place right now.
Right.
Let me get back to you on that. I don't want to speak out of turn, so
Yep.
I will get back to you about that. I see what you're saying, that the event has already taken place.
Patty Mason did check that for us for the last 2 years and didn't feel that we would qualify in her conversations with the commission because they would be giving us some money after the event.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to think because as president of the PTO, I had put in some application, and I want to say that one of those events was just at the time of the application. So yeah, okay, let me get back to you, Amanda. It's a good question. Let me get back to you, but there's something to keep in mind in case the timelines work out for us. Or if they don't, then the problem is we'll have to plan like a whole year ahead.
Right.
And apply this year for 2025.
Next year.
Yes.
Right.
So yeah. All right. Okay.
Is it a rolling admission or a rolling application process? Do people apply?
No. So the application's open for about 3-ish weeks. I can send you all the details. And then within that 3-week period, you have to apply. But you have like I think a year and a half to use the funds. And so essentially it's just a reimbursement. Once your event is done, you give credit to the Westford Cultural Council, you maintain your records and put in your reimbursement through a process that is, already in place. And then the town will directly pay from the grant money that we receive from the Mass Cultural Council, which is from the state, basically, state of Massachusetts.
Seema, what are the typical grant amounts from Westford?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What would be the typical grant amounts from Westford?
Of the Westford Cultural Council?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they range from anything from 500 to 300, sometimes even as low as 200. It all depends on what somebody has asked us for. So somebody might have a small event and they're, asking us for $250. And so, because one of the requirements is that you should be able to show us that you can hold this event independent of us. That means we never give all the money for an event. So you will have to then show us what happens if we don't give you this money. So you'll have to show that you have, most applicants would have contacted multiple cultural councils all across this area. So for events that are happening in Westford or around here, you will find that there'll be a whole list of places they would have applied to, and they'll say, okay, if we don't get your money, then we are ticketing, or we have these funds, or we have fundraising. So there'll be something that has to be provided to show that even if we give you a little bit of the money or are unable to give you money, that the event can happen.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you bring a key points. So if the organizer of the events, you will have one of your organizer team to be visited so that he can apply, should be or she apply different contracts.
And Seema, one more question, the 3-week period, when is that about?
I'm sorry, say that again?
September, October.
September, October, yeah. It starts in usually mid-September to mid-October, but I'll get you the exact dates. Sometimes it's a shorter period, so let me get you the exact dates. But it's in that time period. It's the fall time period. So, and the decision for that will not come to you until January, because we will meet through the months, from the months of October, November, and December. There's a whole process that we have to go through. And then usually we send out letters that the grant has been given somewhere in January. So that's the timeline for you.
Thank you, Seema. Could you also forward the information to me as well?
I'll send it to the whole committee.
Great, thank you.
Okay, no.
Thank you. I mean, it brings to mind that we could either from a targeted perspective or a more general perspective, begin to think about some fundraising.
Being a fundraiser.
You know, it could be reaching out to like Citizens Bank.
Bring out your kids and then do fundraising.
I mean, it would be good.
I'm going to.
I have a question.
Right, we could sell cookies.
Madonna's hand is.
I have a question. Have we ever made any contact with WestfordCAT? It's right here in town, and we have state, and they have several different cities that are involved with them. And I wondered if we've ever done anything to connect with them. Because that may be a way of like even expanding our efforts to include other communities that have students there. So it's, you know, it's something that might be something we want to do. And I think that they probably have students of multiple cultures.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah, I believe that, as you are saying, a lot of kids come from Lowell or Nashua and near other nearby town.
And they are school, we do have students in it, and it seems like
Yeah.
something we should be involved with.
Yeah, I do feel like we often think the academy is the only
Yeah.
Right,
school and it's not.
we are connected to Westford.
Yeah.
You underwrite.
We used to have school committee, subcommittee. We used to have a school subcommittee, which is a kind of like reaching out to the focusing on the students.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. Madonna, if you know of anybody to contact over there,
Not currently. Used to, but not currently.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Who is Madonna asking us to contact?
Nashoba Tech, she's recommending if we would connect with Nashoba Tech so that we can involve more communities from the surrounding towns.
Oh, Nashoba Tech, oh, the school, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so I think I know one of their school committee members, Alicia Mallon. So if you want, I could reach out. I mean, I'm not sure the nature of outreach we are thinking about, but if we can discuss that and then.
Well, it should be about the same thing we're doing with the high school here with the Westford Academy. It should be the same type of interaction.
Okay, I see. So when reaching out to WA, we should also be reaching out to Nashoba Tech. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I agree.
and that's about equity, it's about the curriculum.
Yeah, because many of their students, obviously it caters to more than just Westford. I think it's 5 communities. So, but still there are Westford students and it would be a good way to reach other students from other towns as well.
Seema, are you comfortable making an initial outreach?
With
them?
Alicia, yes, I can speak to Alicia and ask her how, if she has suggestions on how to, because I'm not sure, like, our school system already has a DEI committee. I'm not sure if Nashoba Tech has one, and I'm happy to find that out. And then we can, when it comes time to reach out to them, we can probably do it through their DEI committee or directly to the school. We'll have to see how they are set up.
Are we ready to do this? Are you ready to just reach out? Do we know what the ask is? Do we know what?
Oh, no, I know Alicia, so I can just reach out to just have an initial conversation. This is not like an official thing. So I can probably pick her brain a little bit to see what she suggests. She used to be a school committee member for Westford Public Schools. Now she is on the school committee for Nashoba Tech. So I'm happy to reach out to her. Her sister was on the DEI committee, actually. She's no longer, she was one of the secretaries when we first started out.
I remember her.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, Alicia, yes, and then her sister was on the committee. Was on this
So it
committee.
should be familiar, that's great.
What's your sister's name?
Oh, I do not remember the face.
All right, thank you, Seema, for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. I'll get back to you.
Sounds good, thank you. So that actually is the last piece under new business. Unless there's anything else that we can move on to the minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. I think May 24th, the May minutes we'll take those up later, if I'm not mistaken.
Was May sent out? I only saw.
This one,
I don't think
I
we
didn't see
prepared
that.
May.
I didn't see
I
that.
could not find it.
I don't think we prepared May.
So December.
Are you gonna do May minutes?
I did,
You did do it.
yeah, they're in the, on the,
Tell me you
the
put it,
drive,
you put them in a shared drive.
shared drive. I'm not sure if I thought I sent them to you guys, but
I sent them really soon after the meeting.
yeah,
Yeah.
Did you?
Superhumanly fast.
yeah, just got it done. and-
Before the meeting ended.
After the last.
Other 2 days after.
So I'll
That's
go
what I
back
forgot.
through and see.
I'm sorry, did you say it's in the drive?
Yeah, it's in the drive, but I also had it sent.
Sent everybody.
I don't know if I sent it to everybody or if it was just.
'Cause I'm
um,
looking, yeah, I can't find it on the drive. It's May, right?
Yeah,
We can these next time.
Yeah.
And so my apologies. Um, and we have a minute taker.
We can approve the one for December 15.
Very good. You want to leave that?
Everybody has it on your either desk or it was in the email. Back in, and again, these are meeting minutes from 2022, so only limited member here tonight were member of the DEI committee in 2022. So that includes Heining, Madonna, Joju, right, myself, and Seema, Nancy among the existing members. And if we all
And
vote for
Pat.
And, yeah, then Pat. So if we all approve it tonight, then we are just done with it. The
Just,
meeting.
yeah, before we go into approving, there are a couple of things I wanted to point out on those minutes.
Yep.
So the first thing is, I know you said on 7:30, Anjali stated that the purpose, so I just kind of going back, I would assume that you wanted to say Mamta stated because she was the co-chair at that time,
Yeah.
Eric and Mamta.
I think I probably started, but I don't know if call to order was done by Mamta, and then in the open forum, I stated why we are meeting, because we have to clean up these meeting minutes, and that's why we're meeting.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, if you recall that, then that's great, no problem. And then the other thing is there's just like I think typing error. The next meeting date is not December 25th, but January 25th, 2023.
Yes. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Yes, that was January 25th.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we approve them as amended.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Second. Joanne.
We need to call the roll on this.
Yeah.
Do we need to call roll on minutes?
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
December 15, 2022. Joe? Yes. Angeli?
Aye.
Wendy?
abstain.
Because she was.
Madonna?
Aye.
Joanne?
Remember, so do I abstain?
Technically, you don't have to. Often people do.
You should abstain.
Abstain. But she
Patricia?
said.
Aye.
You, Nancy?
Aye.
Cynthia?
I'll abstain. I wasn't there.
Seema?
Aye.
You're finding? Aye. And Megna?
Abstain.
Thank you. Very good. The ayes have it. So they are accepted.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump off the meeting. I have something to attend to. Sorry.
Bye, Seema.
Bye, everybody. Good night. Thank you.
All right, great. So thank you for the minutes. The next item I it was just sort of a reminder to me to remind you all that feel free to send the topics prior to the meetings. We do sometimes send a prompt, but at any point something occurs to you, feel free to send something to Ashley. I did want to check in with folks about July and August. I think we actually met both months last year. July would be either first, I think.
July would be 24.
24th.
31st, 31st is the last Wednesday.
Do people have a preference for either of those days in July or 31?
24th. So the first. Oh,
I didn't really,
yeah, so
Yes.
so
The question is, if we met in July, is there a preference for the 24th or the 31st?
31st.
I won't be in
Either.
on the 28th, so the first.
31st works.
Works for me, both work.
Both work for me as well. I think you're out of town on 31st, right?
yeah, yes, I will be out of town end of the month.
Oh,
That sounds like 31st.
31st, yeah.
All right, so that's what we'll do in July. We can tentatively say August.
Yeah.
On. Well,
Oh, what that means,
we're gonna have a meeting then.
so the
What?
first time out.
Yep, I
Yeah,
get it.
I-
I think what we are saying is most of the members actually are able to make it on the 31st and not on 24th.
Sounds good.
So we will have a quorum.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. If I could join remotely, I will.
Oh, good. That would be good.
Yeah.
And the 28th of August?
Yeah, that's August 28th.
28th of August, yeah, I think if most of the people are able to make it, we should. I'm tentative for now,
You are.
for 28th,
So
yeah,
we can check in.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else, but anything else?
Did we forget to talk about the town manager sent out a survey request? Did that happen? Did I make that up?
The town manager, thank you. What I remember she did, she or somebody else will be joining us related to the town strategic planning process.
Strategic planning process.
Yeah,
Did she say she would be happy to come to the meeting and talk about it?
either she or somebody else.
Yeah,
Next meeting,
Next
yeah,
meeting.
take her up on that.
But we did get something from,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she said something.
she sent something out asking for us to look. I'm wondering if it's one I already did,
I know I had that same thought.
because I think I did one that was, it was talking about the same topic, so I don't know whether,
Oh, really?
yeah.
That's all part of their process. I think they're gonna explain to us the whole flow process.
Yeah, so we'll have her at the July meeting.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, great. Any other questions, comments? Advice?
Adjourn, that's it, right?
That's the advice. The advice is to adjourn.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion,
Very good. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
Thank you.